Welcome. I invite you into this time of meditation, this time of quieting ourselves and just allowing ourselves to relax and rest into presence. And I welcome you just to become comfortable as you get adjusted in your seat or if you're laying down. But perhaps being upright, sitting with an upright spine can support alertness throughout the meditation. Even as we're allowing our bodies to become relaxed, inviting them just to let go and to soften up a bit. Nevertheless, we can still be attentive and awake. We can still be alert. But I really do feel that the most important posture in meditation is one of internal willingness, openness to the journey. And so I invite you just to relax into whatever position feels right for you right now. We're going to have about a half an hour meditation. And we're going to be focusing primarily on the breath throughout our time together. And so you might like to take a few deeper breaths now that you've settled into your position, moving as you need to throughout, but also aware that by sitting more or less still through a meditation, you have a greater opportunity to go deeper and deeper, allowing more subtle sensations and experiences to rise to your attention. So again, inviting yourself to have a few deeper breaths, intentional breaths, as we begin. Ideally, we're breathing through the nostrils. If we're comfortable breathing through our nose, this is very helpful as it can focus our attention a bit more on this smaller area in the nose and nostrils, in and around this area. And just inviting these few intentional breaths to open us up, to stretch out our chest a little bit, maybe even feeling the breath reaching down into the stomach. But after a couple of these intentional breaths, again, we can just allow our natural breathing to resume. And we don't have to feel as though we're trying to control or manage the breathing process. Feeling the breath naturally rising and falling. Focusing, if we're able, on the sensation of breath passing through our nostrils. We fully entrust this process to the intelligence of the body as we simply observe, as we take note, just watching the breath rise and fall. And we can only work one breath at a time. There's never any rush. This is not a race. We're not competing or comparing with anybody right now. Just endeavoring to do our best at this moment. One breath at a time. And we can remind ourselves as we settle in, if we're aware of other sounds or sensations in our immediate area, none of this needs to be problematic for us. None of this needs to be distractive. Instead, all of this provides an opportunity to sharpen our focus, to develop our faculty of awareness. And it can also help to develop our patience, just patiently and yet persistently drawing our attention back to the breath. Even in the midst of all of these other sensations, even thoughts and feelings within us, all of this has its own space to move around, and thoughts jumping from one to the next, generating associations. We don't need to get pulled down the rabbit hole, because we have the choice to return our attention continually to the breath, the sensation of our breath. And right now it's helpful to remember that we're not trying to figure anything out. We don't have to get to the bottom of anything right now. We're just breathing, understanding in the background that this is helping us to develop patience, perspective, presence. And in the long run, this practice can open us to notice more peace, to feel more peace. Peace that is already here in fullness, in abundance. But it's a peace that we're not always quick to notice. We're not always sensitive to. But as we allow our bodies to relax a bit, inviting the breath to show us how to let go, harnessing the power of that exhalation, the let go of our breath, and inviting the body to follow suit, to let go with the exhalation. Even as we remain very alert and attentive. And back to the breath, very gently, remembering that we're not here to be perfect. We don't have to get caught up in that obsessive pursuit. And so we remember also that we're not here right now to fix anything. We don't have to judge or correct our experience. Just observing, just noticing the breath, the natural breath. one breath at a time. And even as these activities of figuring things out and fixing things can be useful at times in our lives, right now we don't have to engage with these patterns, with these ideas. Instead, we're trying to focus on feeling the sensation of the breath, grounding in presence, mindfulness. And from this perspective, there's nothing we have to struggle against, nothing we need to fight, because everything is welcome in our experience right now, even if it's something that we're not trying to give much attention to or any attention to. There's still a lot of space here in our field of awareness for many different experiences, sensations and thoughts, feelings. And we're just prioritizing right now, choosing the breath at the center of our attention. And back to the breath once more. Realizing, as well as not needing to fight anything, neither do we have to force anything. We're not trying to squeeze all of this into a box with specific dimensions, or we're not trying to custom fit our experience to whatever expectations we might have carried in. Instead, we can really allow ourselves and invite ourselves to be sincere, to be very present and very honest with ourselves, realizing that honesty is a necessary element for growth, even if it's just glimpses of this real self-honesty, sincerity. We don't need any pretenses. Neither do we have anything we need to present to anybody. We're not looking for approval. We're not looking for credit. Just following our breath, becoming more present gradually. Realizing that it becomes a little bit easier to hold our attention with the breath, to keep observing the natural flow of our breath. It's as though we can develop some momentum in this practice. And we can break down the cycle of our breathing and observe 4 distinct seasons, 4 distinct phases in each breath. And again, we're not trying to manipulate, manage, or control our breathing process, but we can more deeply observe it, acknowledging and appreciating each of these 4 passing seasons, beginning with our inhalation, the spring season of the breath, rising up, coming to life, re-energizing. And we can feel this in our bodies as we inhale, as we draw breath inward, gradually reaching up to a peak. Even if the lines between these seasons may be a bit blurry, nevertheless, there is a moment where the inhalation has peaked, but the exhalation has yet to begin. And we can notice this. The summer season of the breath. However brief it may be, it is nonetheless a distinct season, inevitably giving way to the exhalation, letting the breath go. The autumn season of our breath. And again, we're not trying to analyze or pick apart or try to extract meaning or understanding from this experience of the breath. Just allowing ourselves to relax, allowing our bodies to rest as we explore presence, as we give our attention to this moment through every breath. And we can notice how the exhalation seems to carry us down, just like leaves descending from the trees in the autumn. The exhalation carries us down into the valley at the bottom of the breath cycle. And here we notice another brief season, balancing the summer season from the peak. We have down here in the valley the winter season of the breath. And this season invites us into stillness, into quiet, and into rest. And right now, we can still just allow our bodies to be at ease, to be breathing for us, realizing that we don't have a job to do right now. We don't need to be busy, to be cluttered or full in this moment. And just quietly observing this cycle of breath, we have the opportunity to reach the speed of stillness, to slow down to a pace that can really speak wisdom to us as we're open and receptive to receive it. And even if we're feeling sleepy, feeling tired, this is okay. We don't have to battle that, but we can be aware of it. We can notice this tiredness. Maybe taking 1 or 2 intentional breaths again, just to reframe, to approach yet again. One breath at a time. There's no rush. And having established ourselves a bit more firmly in the breath, we can also invite some physical awareness. And without going on a complete journey through the body, we can invite our awareness to move to a few different places. And perhaps we can also invite the breath to connect with these parts of the body. And so we'll begin right now just inviting our awareness to move down into our hands. Wherever they may be resting right now, on our lap or sitting together, held open. In any case, we can just invite our awareness down into our hands, and perhaps even invite ourselves to let go of our hands. Even if that sounds strange, we can ask ourselves, am I holding on to my hands? What does it feel like to let go? And we're not looking for any special, fantastic sensations, just normal physical sensations, whatever is arising in this moment, whether it's tingling or vibrating, whether we notice relative moisture or dryness, relative warmth or cool, or we may not even notice any sensation here, which is fine. But our job, our work, is to just bring our attention and to bring our willingness to notice whatever sensations we might encounter. And remembering that we can also invite the breath into our experience, seeing if we're able to simultaneously be aware of both sensation in the hand and the sensation of the breath. Can we have a dual awareness in this way? And shifting our attention from our hands, we invite our awareness to move through our forearms and past through our elbows and right into our stomach area. Wherever this may arise, whether we're talking about the surface level of the body or deeper within the stomach area, or again, maybe we don't feel sensation at all, and any case is totally fine. We just have different opportunities based on these different experiences. And as we allow our awareness to explore this stomach area, we might encounter pockets of tension, little tight spots from this spot or the next. And we're invited to breathe into these spaces, to invite the breath and to picture the breath reaching all the way down into this stomach area. One breath at a time. Remembering that there's nothing we have to figure out right now, but also realizing that it's by being deeply sincere in this moment that we have the greater opportunity for growth, for healing, relaxing and releasing. There's nothing we have to do right now. We have found the freedom or created the freedom just to be here right now. And this is a great blessing. And so again, if we're noticing tension or tightness in the stomach, the breath can guide us, can show us how we might let go. Allowing the sensation of exhalation, the outgoing breath, allowing that sensation to spread through us. And moving from the stomach area, we close this section of the meditation by inviting our awareness to climb a little bit further up and into our heart center. Right in the middle of our chest. And again, we're not looking for any special sensations here. Just inviting ourselves to notice more deeply what might be arising and how it's arising right now. One breath at a time, remembering we're not trying to be perfect. We're just here breathing, feeling our breath and grounding more deeply in presence. And here in the center of our chest, if we are noticing some tight spots or some tension resting in there, we have an opportunity to breathe into that tightness, to breathe into that tension and invite it to loosen up, even just a little bit, even just one glimpse of release. None of this needs to be all at once. And so we come back again to the breath. Back to the breath as we're winding down. And we'll wind down just very briefly, moving through a couple of feelings of gratitude, as we often do when we sit together in person. Closing in this way, just to introduce some healthy feelings and habits that we can encourage to become a deeper part of our lives simply by bringing our attention, bringing our awareness to these feelings. And so I'll express these couple of feelings of gratitude and just invite you to let them echo if you wish. I'm grateful for the opportunity to slow down. And what does this feel like? More important than the words, of course, are these corresponding feelings. Grateful for the opportunity to slow down. Even in a world that's seeming to speed up or running around from time to time, we do have an opportunity to slow down. I'm grateful for developing patience and compassion, which often go hand in hand. And so, what does this feel like for you right now? Developing patience, exercising compassion. And finally, I'm grateful for the simplicity of breath. And what does this feel like? Just the simplicity of breathing. And so we come back to this same quiet space where we had started just feeling the breath, maybe taking a moment to appreciate these 4 passing seasons, the springtime of inhalation, reaching us up to the summer, the peak of the breath, and then the autumn season of exhalation, letting the breath go, which carries us down into the valley, the stillness of winter at the bottom of the breath. And we wind down, just feeling the breath again, like we had to open. Maybe even gently introducing 1 or 2 intentional breaths, slightly deeper breaths. And in this way, we can gradually introduce the feeling of stretching out the body again from the inside out, stretching out the chest and the stomach, and then inviting this impulse to stretch, inviting this to move through our body, wiggling fingers and toes, rolling the neck and shoulders a little bit, and inviting our arms and legs to stretch out in whatever way feels comfortable. And just gradually allowing our awareness in this way to return into the space of whatever room we might be in, wherever we might be, perhaps even outside. And gradually inviting our awareness to reach out again and receive stimulation from around us, sensation, different sounds, and perhaps different scents, different sights. And even in the midst of this, receiving stimulation from further afield, we can still remain connected with our breath. And so I thank you for joining me on this time of meditation together. I see we've gone just over our time a wee bit, as we often do. And so I'll close for the moment, just inviting you to carry some of this quiet into the rest of your day, and to come back and listen again when it feels like you want to slow down, to become a bit more quiet and a bit more intentional. So blessings on your journey, your path, until we connect again.